Hey there, good afternoon, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So, today, of course, is Friday Night Live Experience, and I do apologize for last week because I scheduled it for Thursday night by accident, thinking that the 30th was actually on a Friday, and it wasn't. So I apologize for that. Anyways, coming out tonight will be a live experience on this album, Yessongs. This was released a long time ago, in May 18th, 1973. So almost 50 years ago, 49 years ago now, but still really, really good album. If you've seen my this week, you will see that I talked a little bit about it, but I'm going to elaborate a bit more. So the album was released on Atlantic label, 129 minutes long, it's more than 2 hours worth of music. Really good. This is a double disc. Originally it was a triple album. There was 3 albums filled up with great music. Produced by Eddie Offord and Yes. Okay, so basically this album was their first live album. So at this point they've had 5 studio albums. Just going to move my notes out of the way. And so what happened is, after they released the album Close to the Edge, their drummer, Bill Bruford, decided to leave Yes and join King Crimson. This is kind of like going from the Boston Red Sox to New York Yankees, or the other way around. So anyways, he decided to jump ship and go to King Crimson. I don't fault him for that. He's a great drummer, fantastic drummer, and very difficult, I think, to be replaced. But they replaced him very well with a drummer who I think fit in perfectly, and that was Alan White, who's since passed away, as we know. But to come in and play all this stuff that they had been doing for the past 3 or 4 years live and not miss a beat is a very huge testament to Alan White's ability, especially when you figure that Bill Bruford was more of a fusion jazz musician, and Alan White was more of a rock drummer, so he had to adopt Bill Bruford's style to get this music to sound exactly the way that it has, and it does on this album. He does a magnificent job. My hat is off to Alan White for being able to do that. Okay, so also to note that Bill Bruford does play on this album, probably some tracks that were recorded prior to him leaving. I think there's 3 of them actually. So I'm going to give you my notes on who's appearing here on the album, and then I'll tell you about what those tracks were that he was on. So John Anderson, of course, does the vocals. Bill Bruford is on drums, percussion, on Perpetual Change, Long Distance Runaround, and The Fish. The Fish and Long Distance Runaround are put together as one number on this particular track. So he actually plays on two of the 13 tracks on here. Steve Howe, of course, guitars and vocals. Chris Squire, bass and vocals. Rick Wakeman, all keyboards and synthesizers. And Alan White, of course, on drums and percussion as well. He does the other 11 tracks. And God, I find it hard to distinguish between him taking over for Bill and Bill not actually being there for those tracks. I guess he's very good at working on that style, but it's not even the style so much. I'm sure given a bit of time he can master the style of any drummer. I think that's common, but it's to learn all of these complex tracks for all these different songs. That to me is a pretty extraordinary thing. So next up we have the tracks themselves and the album itself. So the album, a little bit about it. This is the cover and the back. Now it does come with a booklet. Now I can't remember, my friend John bought this album when we were kids, well, we weren't kids, we were almost adults when we finally got it. But I can't remember if it came with all this stuff on the inside. I think it did. I think this is the original album cover and the original stuff inside the album. Some magnificent artwork by Alan Dean. Did I say Alan Dean? I think I did. Oh well. Anyways, look, some great stuff in here. Nice shots. Like, the book is really well done. And there's another one. There's not a lot of information on the band in itself. There are, of course, the track listings here, but then you also have a few notes about Bill Bruford playing on 2 tracks, Alan White being the primary drummer, and Rick Wakeman appearing courtesy of A&M Records, which he was on for his solo stuff. And he does do 1 track from his solo stuff on here, or I should say he doesn't do a track, he does excerpts from the album Six Wives of King Henry VIII, which I owned that album, so it was really good, and he does a good job of covering it here. Okay, so the concert opens up with excerpts from The Firebird, about 3 minutes worth of stuff, really tasteful. Sorry. And then they cut into Siberian Katru, or Siberian Katru, however you want to say it. Some great off-the-chart harpsichord on this particular song. Rick Wakeman right away showing why he is the master. Bass and guitars are also off the charts here. The whole instrumental part is, but I just think that that harpsichord thing is really well done, and the bass and the guitar are strong on this particular track. At the end of Siberian Katru, they go into Heart of the Sunrise, which the biggest thing about Heart of the Sunrise I like it on the studio album, and here it's just as good, is the slow pace followed by the quick pace, followed by the slow pace, followed by the quick pace, constantly jumping from one style to another. But the biggest part about it is the transition is really smooth. Like, it just flows naturally, even though it's not abrupt. There's not an abrupt stop between each section. You know, it's very the transition's very smooth. The other thing is the organ is used here. I like the use of the organ here. I know it's kind of morbid, but it gives that kind of funeral feel to it when the organ part is predominant, and I really like that. Some really good piano parts on here too, between the heavy and the slow parts, the fast and the slow parts. Sorry. So yeah, really good rendition of Heart of the Sunrise. Now we move on to the next track here, which features Bill Bruford on drums, Perpetual Chains. The sound of this, the sound of this track, as it is with most of the entire album, is very, very clear. I think for the time period, it sounds very well. Like it's good production. I think my own experience with it is that it's very good. The drum solo in the towards the end of this song is real tastefully done. It's really good. Bill Bruford nails it here. There's also some really good guitar soloing during the middle of the song, which there is on the studio album as well, but I think it stands out a little more here on the live version of the album, of the song. The next track up is And You and I, which is one of my favorite Yes songs. It has that eerie intro and then followed by the eerie keyboard. Sorry. Eerie keyboard guitar combo. The guitars are eerie throughout most of the song, but just really almost a slide sounding. I wouldn't say they're a slide. I don't think of them as slide guitar sound, but they have that almost there. There's that part that sounds slide-ish. Really well done song, I think. And then Steve Howe comes back with his classical bit, Mood for a Day. And to me, this may be the most well-known classical guitar bit in rock. I mean, there may be other classical guitar bits that are better known, but for rock music, this is one of the most well-known ones. The only one that comes to mind, that often comes to mind to me when I think of classical guitar bits, is the one Laguna Sunrise from Black Sabbath, which is kind of weird since Sabbath doesn't really do classical bits, but they do have one, and it's Laguna Sunrise. Anyways, the next bit is the excerpts from The Six Wives of King Henry VIII. Some awesome keyboard display here on this song. The synthesizers are real good as well. He does do a piano part that I really like, and also really good with the organ. Then they go from that song to probably the most famous and well-known Yes song, at least of that period, Roundabout, which many people feel has been overplayed. My feelings on that is that I think it's being overplayed, but I don't experience that with it, because I stopped listening to radio a decade ago for the very reason that people complain about radio, is that they overkill songs to the point where you don't want to hear them anymore. And I don't want to suffer that kind of feeling about any particular song I like. And now it has happened with some songs and some groups, but Roundabout is not one of those songs for me. I like it a lot. It was originally my favorite Yes song, but it has worn a bit over time, and so it's not up there now. And then just the fact that other songs have come on too. I love the electric guitar intro instead of the acoustic guitar intro, which is on the Fragile album. Yeah, and it's a different sound completely to the original. Like, you can still make out that it's the intro to Roundabout, but it's just heavier and beefier, and I like the use of the harmonics electrically as well. They sound really cool, and the bass is of course awesome on the song, which it is also on the studio album, but I think a little better here on this album. So that's the end of the first album, the first LP. No, the first disc. The album, it was originally 3 albums. I think that was actually probably the middle of the second album. I can't remember because I don't have the album in front of me. Okay, so the last set of tracks, which are on the second album, or the second disc here with this set, starts out with I've Seen All Good People. This song didn't escape the burnout syndrome that we get. First of all, I was never a huge fan of this song. I don't dislike it, but it's kind of not very Yes-like, if you ask me. To me, Yes is all about the different changes in musical progression throughout most of their songs. They do use what do they call it, choruses in their song, but this one is kind of like what I would call a stage song, where they try to get the crowd into it type of song. It's a raw song, and to me it just doesn't suit Yes. It's too cumbersome for one thing, and it drones on far too long, I think. If it was more like And You and I, or like what was the other song, like Roundabout, where it's going in a specific direction, it has to go through movement to get there, that'd be great. But it doesn't. It just gets to a certain, the first part is not too bad, but then it gets to that part where it just keeps repeating the same thing over again, and at that point it reminds me of Hey Jude, and I wish it would just end, right? So I do like the acoustic bits in the particular track. I've always liked them. I like the beginning, but once it gets to that heavy bass and it gets into the rhythmatic part of replaying over and over again the same part, it just loses me quickly. Okay, so the next song up is Long Distance Runaround and The Fish, which they've combined here into one set. Long Distance Runaround, of course, is a really cool, nice track. It's a little bit longer here. The Fish, of course, is longer as well. Now, The Fish is called Chandeliera Prematuras. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Latin, of course, for something or another, but I'm not really sure what. It starts out with like I said, it starts out with a long distance runaround, and as it starts to wane, the fish comes on. So they kind of cross paths. The masterful display of bass on this song is, I can't even say, there's very few bass players that have the ability to play like this, and he's definitely one of them. Then we get to, of course, Close to the Edge, which is the next track up, the longest track on this particular album, and to me it may be the greatest epic length prog rock song in history. Now, I know there are people that will have their own favorites and stuff. I'm not saying it is the best of all time. For me, it's my favorite, and I feel that the vast majority of people see that it is one of the best, if not the best, progressive rock songs of all time. I mean, it goes up against Supper's Ready and Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick, and there's a few others that I can't think of right now, but those are the ones that come to mind. But I think, to me, it's definitely one of the best, if not the best. It also has some not really sure how to explain this. The instrumental part of the album, the weaving of it, the mastery of it by all four of the instrumentalists on here is one of the great epics of progressive rock. Whenever I think of great progressive movement in rock and like in the music, this is one of the first albums that comes to mind, and this is one of the first songs that comes to mind. I'm not even sure if I'm explaining this right. It was just, I wanted to say something about that. Okay, so number 12, or the 12th track on the second album, or the 12th track overall, 4th track on the second album. Let's stick with that so we don't confuse people. Is Yours Is No Disgrace, one of my favorite Yes songs, and it's lengthened slightly here. The keys are better on this version, of course. Rick Wakeman is off the charts, and has a very live and energetic feel to it. When the song has always been high energy, but it feels even more on this particular. I love the guitar solo. It's off the charts here on this song. I think Steve Howe is, for my money, the best guitarist out there. My favorite anyways, and I think he's the best. I mean, we all feel that way about our favorite guitarist. So if you have somebody other than him as your favorite, and I suspect many of you do, please don't take offense. It's just my own personal feelings about him. Number 13, Starship Trooper. Great song to end the album with. One of the best headphone songs I've ever listened to. I love to listen to it on the headphones, and it's really great live here. That droning part. Remember when I was talking earlier about I've seen All Good People, where it just keeps repeating that part over and over again at the end, being somewhat annoying. This kind of thing happens here with Starship Trooper, the last part, the last movement, but it doesn't have the same kind of droning effect or drumming on effect. It's just, you just want it to go on. It just has such a quality about it that makes it fantastic. So anyways, there you have it. That's it for Yes Songs, all the songs on it. Overall, great instrumentation by all four people that are playing the instrumentation. The vocals, are, of course, by John Anderson are perfect, as they always are with him. I think the guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards all did various solos throughout the song that really displayed the talents and gifts that these guys have. And more importantly, their mending of all this together into a nice cohesive, transitional, progressive feel to it. I think it's one of the greatest live albums, if not one of the greatest albums of all time. I love it. I've loved it since it was recorded for me, and now I have my own, so I'll be playing it a lot. It'll probably go into my set playlist as soon as it gets the first opening. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this Friday night live version of Yessongs by Yes. Please leave your comments, what you like about the album. Have you heard it before? What do you know about it? How do you feel about Yes in general? Those kind of things are all open. So I hope, again, I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please like and subscribe. Next week we'll be doing another live. I'm not sure what yet, but you'll find out on this week on Sunday. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day, and we will see you soon. Prog Monster out.